guys, Prowl1701 here, and my question to you is, what do you think of Big Finish? Do you listen to Big Finish? Do you like Big Finish? Is it hit or miss with you? Do you prefer some doctors over others, which most people probably would, some over others? Do you like some doctors and not like others? Big Finish is interesting. I really think it's kind of hard sometimes for people to get into Big Finish because there's so much of it. I mean, it's huge. It's this giant ocean that you just dive into and try to swim. I have liked Big Finish. Has been hit or miss with me. Now, I haven't listened to a lot of Big Finish. I tend to especially like the 6th and 8th doctors in Big Finish. I understand why these doctors are so popular in Big Finish. The 6th doctor, I've listened to Jubilee and I loved it. Great Dalek story. I own The Last Adventure. I actually own Jubilee. I own The Last Adventure. It's right down here, which of course is 4 stories, and it's fantastic. I enjoyed it. I've listened to The Wrong Doctors, which I like, which has 2 different 6 doctors in it, and that was really neat. I enjoyed that one a lot as well. I really want to listen to The Quinn Dilemma now. I think I'm going to give that one a listen to sometime soon, actually. That one sounds interesting. There's, what, 4 or 5 of them, isn't it? Quinn, yeah, that'd be 5, 6 doctors running around. As Colin would say, more of me. That ought to be interesting. 5, 6 doctors. I didn't know when I was well off. The 8th Doctor I've liked too. I think I've listened to his version of Shada, which I've actually watched the webcast version of that, which I enjoyed actually. It's really good. I've listened to Storm Warning, which was fantastic. I enjoyed that one a lot. Chimes of Midnight, which was also fantastic. Deserves all of the accolades it gets. I want to get a physical copy of Chimes of Midnight sometime. I don't have that. I'd love to get that. I listened to it on the computer and absolutely loved it. And I think that's my main extent of knowledge with the 8th Doctor. I'm not sure where I need to go next with the 8th Doctor. I've listened to Spare Parts with the 5th Doctor. I'm going to be honest, I didn't like Spare Parts. I know Spare Parts is regarded very well. People talk about Spare Parts really, really well. Didn't really care for it myself. Didn't really do much for me. I bought it digitally, and I didn't feel like I wasted my money. It was only like $3 or $4, I think, but I didn't really care for it. Unit Dominion, this one was someone sent to me, which I very much appreciate. It was all right. It's a little out there. It is a little out there, I will admit. Definitely does things the show couldn't have done. It was okay. It took me a while to get through it. I think part 1 was probably my favorite part, and I do like the way it wrapped up in part 4. I think part 2 was the lowest part, and that's why there was such a gap between me doing parts 1 and 2 and part 3 and 4. Part 2 didn't do as much for me, but I loved part 1 with the mind leeches. And I think that's the only 7th Doctor story I've listened to. And I haven't listened to any of the first 3 Doctors just because something about not having the original actors just kind of puts me off to Doctors 1, 2, and 3 for some reason. And the 4th Doctor, I've listened to the Out of Time Part 1 with the 4th Doctor and the 10th Doctor together. I actually watched that with Josh Snare's animation he did, and it's fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I love how well 4 and 10 get on. They click really well together. And Tom Baker and David Tennant, the way they're doing their back and forth, you'd swear they were in the same room. I don't know if they were or not. You'd swear they were in the same room with each other actually talking. I really enjoyed that one. I'd love to get a physical copy of that one, too. I don't actually have a physical copy of that. I'd love to get that. And then I think that's mostly the extent I can think of off the top of my head I've had with Big Finish. I do want to hear the Out of Times, the other 2, because there's 2 more, I think. One with 10 and 5 and one with 10 and 6, if I remember correctly. I haven't listened to those. I do want to listen to those. I'm curious how 10 and 6 would get along. That ought to be interesting. And, of course, 10 and 5 have met before, which I'm sure they reference in the story. That ought to be interesting. So I'd like to listen to those. I definitely want to listen to more of 8 and 6. 8 and 6 seem to be my favorites. Those are the ones I really want to focus on, although I got to admit I probably would love to get some more of 4 as well, just because I love Tom Baker, so I'd love to get some more of 4's best and listen to those. Oh, and I have listened to The Light at the End. Is that the name of it? The one they did for the 50th that had all of them together. Is that the name of it? Somebody hooked me up with that. It wasn't the one where I think the master set a trap and all the other different doctors were showing up. Several of them, I know 8, 4, I think 6, 7, 5 are all there. It was okay. I can't remember if that's what it's called, the light at the end. I'm trying to remember. That one didn't do as much for me as I think it does for some people. It was, to be honest. But yeah, I definitely want to get more into Big Finish. I'm curious to see, I've mentioned recently about wanting the Klein trilogy because I liked Dr. Klein. I want to learn more about her. But I'm really curious to find out more about Big Finish. It's such a bit to dive into. Less so probably, again, the first 3 Doctors. But Doctors 4, 6, and 8 especially are kind of the ones I'd really, especially 6 and 8, but 4 too, just because I love Tom Baker. I'd probably like to dive more into. So I'm curious, what eras of Big Finish do you like? What grabs you? What stories do you like? What stories do you recommend? What stories do you not care for? Do you think are just kind of a waste of time? I always hear somebody talk about stuff called like Zygris. Zygris is like a ZYG. I have no idea what it is, but apparently it's mentioned a lot. I don't know if it's any good or not, but it's mentioned a lot. I don't know if it's important or not, but it's mentioned a lot. So comment down below. Let's have a wonderful conversation down in the comments about Big Finish, the stuff you like, the stuff you don't, the stuff you recommend, the stuff you want me to avoid. Comment down below and let me know. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Finn Perkins, and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their support as I do the support of all of my patrons. It's been wonderful watching the Patreon grow, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I also have a P.O. box if there is any Big Finish related stuff you would like to send to me right there. I have a link to my Amazon wish list down there and a link to my Amazon UK wish list down there as well. I think I still have the original version of Revenge of the Cybermen, Return of the Cybermen. I think I have that on there well, because I would love to hear the original version of that. The original version of Genesis would be nice too. That'd be a fun treat. Most importantly, thank you for watching.